Hi guys, welcome to Interior Insights. I'm Jane and we are standing in front of an apartment that is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. It's colorful, it's bold, it's vibrant, but at the same time it's perfectly organized and just has this coherent and beautiful design story. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to subscribe. This apartment is the home of a Brazilian and German family of 4 who lives here, and you can just really feel the energy throughout the place. As we come in, we are already in the hallway. The entire hallway has been painted in this bright yellow color, and you just have this bold contrast of this intense, bold yellow color and all of the historic details. For the floor of the apartment, we have historical beams from pitch pine trees, and they just have these beautiful lines all over them, and they're just this beautiful color. And we have very high walls, and the ceilings again have all of this rich wainscoting. The hallway itself is covered in all of these bold accents. For example, on one side we have a piece of wallpaper that is draped over one side, and that again visually marks and accentuates the height of the ceiling. At the same time, we have all of these different pieces of artwork that have been collected throughout their travels, mostly while visiting their family in Brazil, but also while going on a little holiday to Italy or just all over the world. Another detail that I love is this beautifully tinted round mirror that we have. It just reflects yourself as well as your surroundings through this bronze filter, and it just creates yet again another color world. Here we enter the dining area, and as soon as you come in, you see the couple's love for plants. All over the apartment we have gigantic and beautiful plants standing, and you don't just have these little plants that serve as decoration, but the plants really act as sculptures in the apartment themselves. We have a very generous room layout, and in the center of the room we have a gigantic slab of wood that has been turned into the dining table, and around it the family or friends gather to eat. We have all of these different chairs that are standing around it, and what I love so much about the apartment is just the fact that you just have this constant mix of old and vintage materials and objects that have been found in the flea market and designer items and furniture. And then this contrast is again accentuated through all of the wild and green plants that stand throughout the place. I mean, look at this plant. It's absolutely fabulous. Another thing I love about the apartment is the fact that we just have this beautiful wallpaper draped all over one side. It's again a very modern thing to do, and it really adds this very strong graphic element to the apartment, because we have this black background of the wallpaper and all of these colorful plants and flowers that are just popping off of it, and they just seem very alive. Wallpaper is a great way to break up the square feeling of a room, or like the straight angles in a room, because it just creates a whole another level of dimension. Above the table we have a beautiful bold lamp that is almost like a sculpture. It is just made of these organic shapes that are filled with rattan, and it just looks very eclectic and beautiful. If you want to discover more about how to create your own design and just tell your personal story, you can check out the free guide that I've created. The link is in the description. And another favorite of mine in this room is that hanging on the wall we have a plate collection of Fornasetti artworks, and this again is just an organized way to showcase your collection and to add some graphic elements and life to your design. Because the couple has 2 kids, in every room we have little kid stations for them to play. For example, here we have a little drawing area, and even though there's 2 kids living in this room, everything is thought about and the kids' needs are really incorporated into the design. Behind this cork cabinet there is actually a little home bar hidden, and when you open it you just have mirrors that are reflecting the light and that just create a little wow moment inside your design. What is so incredible about these historic buildings in Hamburg is the fact that we always have these sliding doors that are always hiding inside of the actual walls, and they allow you to close the space to create a more separate and formal function, or to open it and to just visually let the energy flow through the two spaces. So this is actually already the living room area. And again, you can just see how much space there is in this apartment and the meticulous attention to detail and to creating just these beautiful and thoughtful compositions. You can see that the living room itself has an irregular shape because we are like at the corner of a street. So the building isn't actually a square at the end, but it's kind of has like a hexagon shape. The room setup is divided into 3 different areas. The carpets on the floor visually separate these areas from each other. We have a piano with a gigantic piece of cow leather lying below it. Over here we have the sofa area, and you can see that above the light blue sofa we again have this beautiful composition, and I believe that this is really where the magic in this design lies, is that on the one hand everything is really eclectic and bold and you have all of these visual details, but on the other hand it's still very organized, nothing is lying around, and that's just very difficult to master. So above the sofa we have 3 shelves that have also been painted in this pastel petrol blue, and on top of them we just have this collection of family memories, trips and holidays the couple went to, and other little objects that inspired them. And even though it's a lot of objects standing around, they are perfectly organized, kind of even sorted by color, and this just again creates this very eclectic and thoughtfully curated place. Like I always say, with plants it's important to not have them standing all over the place, but to have mindful collections of plants, and this is just exactly what has been done here. So over here we again have another little jungle of a bunch of plants, big and small pots and big pots. Sometimes they are elevated, and when you come into this room you are just really greeted by this fresh and crisp green color of the plant, and they again just create this unexpected aspect to the design because you don't really know where the room ends or how many plants are actually hiding here. Over here is the 3rd little island in the living room. Again, it is visually zoned by a carpet. On top of this brown vintage carpet, we have a very unique brown leather sofa that has also been found on a flea market. Here you can see that we have a lot of different shades of brown that are finding themselves together and just creating this warm and relaxing design. As for the 3 artworks that are framing the wall, they were also found in Brazil, and you can just really feel the Brazilian atmosphere, and the Brazilian art just creates this unique and beautiful vibrancy. Now let me take you to the heart of the home, and that is the kitchen. And I think if I had to decide for one room which was my favorite, at the end it probably would be the kitchen. Because I absolutely adore the blue and white checkered tiles. When the couple moved in here 4 years ago, they were still part of the historic aspects and details of this house. So we don't know when the house was built, but these tiles have been here for a long time. Again, we have the pitch pine wooden floors, which is uncommon, but very cool for a kitchen. And we have the unique moldings and the high ceilings. And you can see that this is where the historic oven used to be, because here we have again tiles on the floor. And I love it when you can just read the historic details in an apartment and just see what the people who built this intended to do or how they lived in this space. And we still have the historic oven. On top of it we have this one sleek kitchen countertop with black paneling that just fades into the background and just creates a perfectly dark backdrop for all of the colorful objects that we have placed on top of them. And you can see that because we have this black backdrop, something like a red pot or a yellow salt and pepper grinder just really visually pops and just creates this very cool effect. On both sides of the kitchen we have these shelves added that again act as open storage. And whenever you have open storage solutions, there's always a possibility for them to just go all out of hand because you just completely lose control. But here we again have this meticulous organization and just these beautiful colors that accentuate the design. On the other side in the kitchen, we have a vintage wooden table where the family has breakfast. Again, on top of the table, we have two gigantic fern trees that are just growing and just creating, again, this dynamic and lively scene in the apartment. On this side, we actually again have another bookshelf that is the same height as the other one. And here we have all of the different cookbooks that the family collects, because the family here really likes to cook and to have guests over and to try new recipes. So again, through the beautiful majestic hallway, we enter the bedroom. As you come in, you can see that again, the space is flooded with light. Each of these rooms has actually their own little balcony where you can look outside and look at the historic facades. You can see that we have one square room and all of the walls are kept in white, and the ceilings still have these historic rich moldings that we also have in the other rooms. Now, because this is the bedroom, there is a much calmer color palette, but everything is still thoughtfully designed. On one side, we have a gigantic white wardrobe that fades into the background and almost acts kind of like a wall. And behind me, we have a lush, very high profile bed that is very comfortable and just makes you want to jump in. And you can see that the bed is very comfortable and cozy because we have these different layers of fabrics that are put on top of the bed, and we have these overthrows and everything is color coded. Like in every other room, we have a gigantic plant that acts as a sculpture and just adds this freshness. Over here, we again have another little seating situation. We have a small sofa in a dark blue velvet fabric that again just is very luxurious and comforting. And then again, we have some yellow accents, and I just love the attention to color as well as the attention to detail in the space. And on top again, we have an artwork that is from Brazil, as well as a vintage lamp that has been sourced in the flea market. This is the balcony. And over here, you can just enjoy your cup of coffee in the morning, overlooking the beautiful historic facades of Hamburg. Now let me show you the kids' bedroom. Now, this is the kids' bedroom. Because the kids are raised both Portuguese as well as German, they have two separate bookshelves for each, one the German books and one Portuguese books, and they are just on both sides of this beautiful little farmer market. This kids' room just screams of order, and that is because while designing the kids' room, every need of the kids was anticipated and thought about, and storage solutions were created for their toys and their needs. And I just love how colorful and bold and beautifully creative this kids' room is. It's really the heart of the home and the paradise. Another thing that I like is also the molding in the ceiling that has been painted blue, that just again adds this very playful and colorful accent. Or on top of the bed, we actually have a lot of stars added so that when the kids wake up at night, they wake up under the stars. We just have this beautiful, warm and calming atmosphere with a lot of rugs and a lot of textures that enrich the design and that just create this vibrant and fun environment for the kids to grow up in. So this is the first small bathroom. All of the tiles in the bathroom are still original. So we just have these vintage pastel blue tiles that just create this very charming and princess-like atmosphere. And you can see that even this space has been thoughtfully decorated. For example, on top of the sink, we again have a vase with dried flowers, or up here in the corner, we actually have 3 little artworks that have been found on a holiday in South Africa. And again, it's just these details that count. Now, this is the proper bathroom. Let me show you. Again, we have all of these beautiful blue pastel tiles, and here they are actually accentuated with this incredibly colorful and floral wallpaper that has been draped around the top. And you can see that this again creates this luxurious, almost spa-like atmosphere. Again, you can see that the kids' things have their own time and place in the design. So the bottom areas of the shelf are for the kids where they can store their things. And like in the rest of the apartment, we have 1 or 2 unique plants that act as pieces of art and that just add this elegant and vibrant gesture to the place. We have this very tropical bohemian atmosphere because we have all of these rattan baskets where the flowers are kept or where the laundry is kept. So you just have this very light and playful design. Another room that we have in this apartment, and this is the room that is actually mostly usually missing in apartments, and that is a big generous storage space. And the couple actually decided to not just put all of their things that they aren't using in here and just close the door and never look at it again, but they actually thought about how they want to live, what needs they have, and how to create a space where you actually want to come inside and do your laundry, for example, or where you actually want to come inside and sort in all of your foods. Here we even have a little chalkboard and again some books for the kids. So they also even have their own little area over here. And over here we just have a multitude of functions. You have your laundry area, you have your food storage, and again you have just your beautiful cutlery and ceramic plates that are being stored, but at the same time they're also really visually displayed so that when you come in, you just have the possibility to look at something beautiful. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you liked it, and I would move right in if I could, let me tell you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next week.